Well, thank you. Is it working? Yeah, it's working. Wow.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning.
Welcome. Welcome to our seminar. My name is Humbo Chen. I'm a product manager from Fluke Biomedical. The topic we're presenting is called increasing role of automation in quality assurance workflow. It's not the topic he was just talking about. So today's presentation will be divided into three parts. So I will start with the current and future state of test automation. Then Justin Ross, our channel partner from Fluke Biomedical, will be presenting how test automation benefits you as a biomed. Justin himself used to be a biomed, so he has a lot of experience to share. Then at the end, Marcella, another product manager from Fluke Biomedical, will talk about OneQA workflow automation software. It's a new software just released from Fluke Biomedical. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's start with the, that's too fast. With the definition of automation. You know, we all talk about automation. Everybody knows automation. What is the definition of automation? According to the Webster, automation is a technique of making apparatus or a process run automatically. Or it's a controlled operation of a process by mechanical or electrical devices that replace the human labor. In a manual test, it's all human labor, but automation is to replace the human labor. That's the definition of automation. There are many misunderstanding or misconception of automation. So I'm going to give you a test and tell me it's true or false. The first, automation can improve working efficiency. True or false? True, right? That's an easy question. It is true that it can save time. Second one, automation is to set it and forget it. I don't think so. You don't think so? That's right, it's false, because automation, even though it can automate it, but still it requires human interaction. For example, right, you do the electrical safety test, you need to put the leads on, put the leads off, and sometimes it will ask you to, turn the power off, turn the power on, and defibrillator test, you charge the battery, instead to push the button to shut the defibrillator. So it's not totally set it and forget it. So it can standardize workflow. True, yes, that's right. So you can, make your procedure a standard procedure according to the OEM recommendation. You can ensure compliance to regulations. True or false? It is true. That's right. You have a standard procedure based on different standards, such as IEC 60601. Here in the United States, electric safety, MFPA 99, or internationally, it could be IEC 62353. So you make all those procedures to comply with regulations. This is true. It can reduce human errors. Yeah, sure, of course. That's why you have this automation, right? You run the same test and you document, and you don't have to write everything down that reduce the human errors. Achieve paperless documentation. True or false?
I think so.
Yeah, it can document without paper. It can document everything in the computer and use a software. So that is true. Time saving by automation is the same across different tests. False. False. It's false, right? Because depends on what kind of test you're running. You could save 30%, or you can save up to 50%. For example, electrical safety or patient monitor or defibrillator, you can save up to 50% of your test time by using automation. But for certain tests, such as electrical surgery, for certain electrical surgery units, but
Oh, we got the fluke test.
Oh, you got the fluke test.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, it's a great.
It's extra credit.
Yeah, you should get the credit. You know, you should give out those awards, right,
There you
to
go.
answer this question correctly. Yeah, because there's some units that requires many interactions, human interactions, so that the time saving is different. Depends on the test. To capture all test results automatically, true or false? True. And it also depends on the test. That for electrical safety, then you can capture those things, voltage, current, those kind of things. But for defibrillator, yeah, the energy can be captured. But for patient monitor, it's actually not. You still have to, look at the monitor and write down the results or document the result on the software. So it's not fully automatic. But we're actually working on a new solution called closed loop that, the simulator sends a signal to patient monitor. We're adding a loop back from the DUT to simulator. So the simulator can capture the result from the monitor directly. It's called a closed loop. In that case, yes, that you don't have to write down everything. That dramatic saves your time. We're still working on it. The last one is to forecast value, not just find it, true or false. It's a little tricky on this one, that this is something we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about a little bit more. It's called predictive maintenance. It's not preventive maintenance, it's called predictive. Because with the data capture, if you have a software, the software can analyze the data, historic data. It can predict that when the thing will fail. So can be done with this. Oh wow! Yeah, it jumps up fast. All right. So this is some definition about the automation. So the 4 stages of test automation. One is the manual, no automation, the traditional way of doing tests. And from the panel, push the button, each test at a time. This is a more traditional way of doing tests called manual test. The onboard automation is a piece of workflow. It's auto sequences, saved. Could be generated by PC or could be generated by OEMs. It's saved on the device. Could be a piece of sequences such as from the low ECG, 10 beats per minute, all the way to 300 beats per minute. And you can run that auto sequences to trick the alarm. Or you could run the SpO2 percentage from the low end to the high end to trick. This is called auto sequences. It's a piece of workflow. That's called onboard automation. The third stage is workflow automation. It's an entire workflow. Such you run the entire electrical safety test. You run entire vital sign monitor test, performance test. You run the entire workflow of defibrillator test, and using those software. And I don't know if you're familiar with Fluke Biomedical's Mat Tester. The Mat Tester and Fluke Biomedical's answer is actually on this stage. It's called workflow automation. You run the entire patient monitor PMs by using a software called workflow automation. But the 4th stage of automation is really called the end-to-end workflow automation. It starts from you launch a test from your CMMS, then you launch a test from CMMS. You run the test, and the data is captured, and data is sent automatically back to your CMMS. And the entire thing is called end-to-end, the closed loop test. So with some help from biomass and with some help from those CMM companies, our 1QA new solution can achieve end-to-end workflow automation. Masala is going to, talk about those. It's possible to achieve that end-to-end workflow automation. So 4 stages from manual, onboard, workflow to end-to-end flow automation. So just curious, how many of you still running manual test? You're still running the manual test? Okay, for certain steps. for certain step, but you use the most, which one you use most often? You have answer, you use answer, so you're on that workflow, the third stage. I'm sure some of you are using auto sequences, right? But any of you are using this end-to-end workflow automation, like you launched the automation from CMMS, but not at that stage yet. But that's the stage we should shoot for. So where can automation help you? This is, you know, a typical workflow. You basically open work order in CMMS, then you find those medical devices, then you connect, you know, your device with your testing tools, then you run the procedures, then you document the result, then you enter data into CMMS, then close the work order. That's a typical workflow. Everybody is doing that. So where can automation help you? So, oh, this thing is really, see, this is not really.
End of the presentation already.
Yeah, it's fast. Anyway, so automation, because it saves time, so that you know, everybody's busy. You always have more than you can do. So automation can save time, so you can cover more medical devices. And during the test, it actually use automation, and you can reduce the error in the testing procedure, especially for those new biomass without much experience. You have to standardize the procedures and help them to run the procedure. Everybody run the same procedure. So that reduces the error, and also running the test with an automatic testing tool can save you a lot of time. The time saving during the test on documentation, right? Documentation is, if it's a manual process, it takes a lot of time, and documentation according to our survey and can range from 10% or 50% of your time you're spending on document stuff. And a lot of biomass say, I don't want to spend time doing documentation. I have to do it because I'm required to do so. But if you have a tool which can help me to save the time on documentation, I would rather spend more time doing some tests. So this is where the automation can help. And of course, you know, enter data into CMMS, and it takes time. And if it can be automated, that will help you as well. So CMMS, we did a survey, and this is USA only, but it's actually very, it's true cross globally. Every hospital has some sort of a CMMS, and 50% of customers say they're using customized CMMS, and only 48% of customers say they're buying the commercial available CMMS. So everybody has some sort of a CMMS. What they use this thing for, they use it to tracking work orders. They use it to schedule tests and recording asset history, and you know, for external work requests by nurse or doctors, manage inventory, and at the end, of course, they need documentation when they are audited by the Joint Commission or different auditing organizations to show that they did the test. So this is what they use the CMMS for. It's a current use, but there's an advanced use of CMMS. 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, actually, perfect. I'm glad you're checking. Yeah. So besides all those current use of CMMS, like you know, track CMMS, PM pass, contact report, you notice that on this low left corner, it's called condition monitoring aggregate data. Basically, what they use is CMMS with all the data in the system. They monitor the condition of devices, and the software does analyze and predict when this device may fail. So they will schedule a PM or schedule a new purchase before the device fails. This is especially helpful if you have very expensive medical device. This is called I know this is too. So anyway, I'm gonna touch it. So it's called predictive maintenance, and Fluke actually has a product. It's called condition monitoring. They put a sensor on the machine engine, and that sensor actually communicates with the gateway, which is plugged into a nearby electric outlet. The signal sent through Bluetooth sent to the this gateway. And then that use Wi-Fi, send the data back to the cloud. And there is a cell phone or monitor which can real time monitor the condition of this machine. And it actually uses a software called Connect to analyze the data to predict when that machine may fail. So there is such a product out there. So this slide tells you a little bit more detail about what the predictive maintenance process is. I mean, in this case, this person, Jim, he put a sensor on the machine, then connect them to the IoT platform, any IoT platform. The sensor on the machine will send the data about the machine vital signs real time to the monitor. The Jim, this person can monitor the data remotely and ensure that machine are in good running condition. And then the machine actually has a module. It's a built-in module. Can use the historic data to predict that when the machine may fail, and at the stage 5, the module proactively alerts Jim that, hey, you need to send somebody to maintain the devices because it may fail soon. And then the ticket is automatically generated, and Jim will send somebody over to do a maintenance, or Jim will say, okay, it's gonna fail soon. I'm gonna buy a new machine. And you know, because anytime the downtime will cost a lot of money for manufacturing, for hospitals, if you have an expensive machine such as CT or MRI, you wanna make sure that it's to minimize the downtime. So it's a predictive, okay, let's forget about it, not use it. So it's just comparing those traditional reactive maintenance, preventive maintenance, everybody's expert at this stage, and basically you allow those assets to run to fail, or you prevent before they occur. But predictive maintenance, and even though majority of hospital is not at this stage yet, but actually we predict that in the future it's going to be called predictive maintenance, that you predict problem to increase asset reliability. But in order to do that, you need data. The data is stored at the one place so that you can use software to analyze the data to predict that. All right, so it's another slide that talks about the stages from reactive to all the way to predictive. And I know some of you are using AEM. Any of you use AEM alternative equipment? Yeah, management, right? In order for you to do that, you need to prove to Joint Commission that your historic data can allow you to do AEM. And in this case, with the data, predictive maintenance can prove to Joint Commission that, hey, I can run the AEM. So that's all I have, and yeah, I'm on time, so I'm going to pass my presentation to Justin Ross to talk about automation as a biomed. You want to use this?
No, I'm not going to use that.
Okay.
I am not that well versed in making things not work right.
Maybe I should turn it off so we don't use it.
Hello, I'm Justin Ross. I am one of the channel partners with Fluke Biomedical, and I get the lovely time to be the thorn between two roses today. So what I want to talk today about is how automation can benefit you as a technician. And let me see here. So let's talk about the goals of a biomed, right? The goals of a biomed are to maintain and improve the environment of patient care, help ensure medical equipment is working and safe to use, right? That's what we all preach. Let's talk about the truth of our job. We want to actually find something that's broken and take it apart. And when we're done with that, we want to drink coffee. The problem is in a modern society of biomeds, we don't have time to get to the job that we started. We want to be doing these things. We want to be out there being proactive. We want to feel like a hero. We want to go into the OR and say, I fixed your machine. I'm the Superman. I get to wear a cape today. But instead, we're stuck with the doldrum of doing monotonous tasks and PMing 14,000 IV pumps ad nauseum. Dramatic pause. Demands and challenges of the modern biomed. Listen, this is just a slide. This is just ideas. These are just things that I thought of. You know, when I sat down, I thought of 20 years in a hospital setting. What bogged me down? What kept me from doing the job that I wanted to do? Increased workloads. You know, when I started being a biomed in 2000, 2002, some area, we were responsible for about 800, 900 pieces of equipment per technician for general biomed. What are we running today? 1,500, 1,800, 2,000 pieces of equipment per technician. That's a lot of equipment. You can be anywhere in that span. We don't have the time to go out and do everything we want to do. The other side of that argument can be testing requirements are less and less than what they used to. We don't have to adjust pots. We don't have to trim things out. Electrical safety is getting more standardized and less. But nonetheless, we've got a lot of equipment that we're responsible for. Perpetually changing standards. You know, we all learned electrical safety one way. Is that we still doing the same thing now that we did 20 years ago? No, it's changing. It's always changing. Standards are changing. Rules and regulations are changing. How much of your time is caught up in trying to learn the changes and what we're actually supposed to be doing? Updated PM procedures. Who's ever got version 1 of the manual and figured out halfway through your PM cycle it doesn't work because they transposed something? And now you have version 2 and it has to be updated. Can't find additional help. How many of your hospitals need another biomed and you can't find one? They don't exist anymore. So who do you bring in? Somebody who's not trained. It's the best that you can do, and train them up yourself. That takes time, that takes assets. How are you going to get that person productive and out on the floor and doing the job so you can go back to drinking coffee quicker? Oh wait, I took care of my next bullet point already. Look at that. Learning equipment accessories in their locations. Ever been in the OR and not be able to find the hand pieces or the foot pedals or the power cord? Where are those located at? Where would you go to find a central location for those things? How do you train the next person on where to find those things? How many times you got the phone call, hey, I'm in the OR in room 3 looking at the wall and I don't see, hey man, yeah, they moved it. It's down the hallway, look in the closet, underneath the shelf, 3 layers down, take off the blanket. Oh, there you go. What if you could save that location? What if you could take those notes that you learned, put them in the data bin, and so the next person who goes to do that task can find that data easily? Ooh, who's got an electronic leash? Right? Who carries one of these things? How many times a day are you looking at this thing? How many times a day are you smacking it out of your technician's hands because they're on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever else? We can't get away from this thing. Constant interruptions. We can no longer go hide in the yard and say, hey, listen, cell phone policy, I can't have a cell phone. I'm doing my PMs today, I have to shut this off, do over here. That doesn't work anymore. Constant interruptions. People can know how to get a hold of you right now. And then some of us, we carry this, and we still have a beeper or pager. What do we call it? Pagers? I'm not old. Pagers? Pagers. Okay, yeah, pagers. And then we carry those little voice to talk things we can flip to our lapel. And then we have an ID tag put into our name badge. Good luck hiding it to get your work done, right? Committee meetings. Hey, you know what? If you don't want to work, have a meeting, right? Isn't that the old adage? Something like that. Monotony of repetitive motions. Listen, guys, I have 80 something years. For me to sit down and do 1,200 IV pumps back to back to back to back to back to back, that is an alarm hell for me. Listen to that pump, doldrum on, day in and day out. What if I can automate part of that sequence? What if I can connect it and be focused on hooking up the next one while this one's doing its thing? Cutting those times down. I would always try to find a good excuse to be sick for me to buy IV pump. Alarm issues. Alarm issues. More PC-based service. How much of our service is now based off your laptop? You no longer pulling manually, you're not just doing it. You have to tether to your PC and use the software to monitor it. Alerts, IV pumps, defibrillators, hill run beds. Beds, really? Yes. Logging of work. What did I do today? How do I justify my existence? Locating equipment. We've already talked about the ones, but where in God's green earth is this IV pump? In the locker room, above the ceiling top. That's a place to hide them, just in case you. So how can automation help? What if it could easily connect your device under test to your test device? And then the test device to your PC, linking the status together so you have continuity of workflow. Simple and easy interface to your CMS platform. These are all things to consider as you look at these automation platforms. I should have prefaced that. So when you're considering an automation platform, these are things to think about. What if you could only learn one program? One program that's going to control all of your test devices. I'd like to learn one thing instead of 7 things. By gosh, you change the icons of my cell phone and I throw a temper tantrum. Everybody can relate to that one too, yeah? Ease of workload. We've got to make this easier. We've got too many other distractions. We have too many other pulls on us. Allow the system to run this monotonous tests. Let it do that for you so you can focus on what else you need to do. Automatic recording, timestamps. 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 How could you use a timestamp in automation for your benefits? How about this idea? What if you started to log the amount of time you opened your work order and then you went to find the device that you had to test? How much of our time is spent walking the mile and a half to the biomed shop beside the morgue in the basement to the building, three buildings away, 17th floor, to the OR, to look for the, that's a lot of time. Do we account for that time? When we're going back to the admin saying, hey, listen, we need some sort of tracking device on our devices so we can find them, well, give me your justification. Here's my justification. That's automatically logged. What about your average work order time? What if you can show the training, and by training, here's technician 1, who's entry level doing this task, and his time. Here's technician 2, with his experience and his time. If I could spend $5,000 more to train this guy, we could move this FTE. But now you have hard data that you couldn't manipulate. This is automatically tracking with your automation sequence. Extra data. There's so much other data that we could be collecting. We've had to let go over the years because we don't have time to get to it. We got away from recording hard numbers to pass fail testing, right? One of the reasons was just because it's too much data. We don't have time to collect all that data. We don't have time to write it all down. Did you write down a 7, or was it a 9, or a 4, or a 3 with a really bad squiggly line? Record equipment, serial numbers, and calibration dates. So our test device, right? Do we know that that device is safe to use today? Did you actually look at the calibration device on it, or the calibration date on it? What if our automation software could pull that up? You plug in your test device and it goes, whoop, red flag. This one was missed in your calibration sequence last year. Did you ever have that happen? You pay a service to come into your hospital to calibrate all your equipment, but Joe Biomed was off sick that day. His equipment was in his personal vehicle because he was doing outline equipment or outline facilities. So his multimeter was missed, or his one analyzer was missed. He got thrown back into the mix. Everybody assumed that everything was done because it was calibration day, but you had a missed piece. And once you discover that, how many devices did you calibrate with that device that you have to go back and now re-PM if you catch it? Wouldn't it be cool to have a red flag that says, how about the ability to attach a picture or a PDF file right to your workflow instead of carrying around a manual? Remember back in the days of the paper manuals? We'd be toting around. I had a stairs manual that I would literally beat somebody with if they touched it. That thing was more earmarked, the pages falling out, but I would not go service the sterilizer without that manual. It was like my good luck charm in all seriousness. But how many manuals do we need now? Now we have them all in electronic formats. So we're going out of our CMMS platform to a library to pull a section of a manual, to open it up to pull a section of the manual, to get an excerpt from page 15 that your web viewer is not going to open up nice and easy. How much time? What if you could just take that excerpt and stick it right into your work order so that you can see it, or it's going to automatically populate it for you. How about those devices that you only service one time a year? Transcutaneous pacemakers, right? Or transvenous pacemakers? We do them once a year. You probably have 5 in the hospital. Does your staff even remember how to set it up? What if you had a picture of how to set it up, and where to find it, and how to run it through? How much time can you save by having it at your fingertips? Oh, well, look, I took care of all those. Oh, nice. What if it's easy to build and alter your procedures? If you have to go back in and do 16 steps to correct one step, are you going to actually take the time to correct your procedure? Or are you going to continue to go, hey guys, remember, when you go out on the floor today, step 16 is wrong, edit it when you run that sequence. It's what we do. We don't want to admit it. We don't want to admit that, but it's what happens, because do we have the time to go back and fix that procedure and then retrain everybody? Or if you could go in and easily correct it from one station and broadcast it out to all your technicians. I guess use alternative maintenance programs to whatever Combo said there. Do we have multiple PM procedures? Why would you need a multiple PM procedure? What if you just get a call to the OR because your patient alarm's monitored? Your patient monitors alarming. More coffee time, right? So you run up to the OR, you got your bag, you set it down, monitor's on and working great. Are you going to do a full PM work order on that? You're going to spend 2 hours doing that entire PM? Or do you want another procedure that's just a checkout procedure? Real quick, step 1, is it on? Step 2, is it plugged in? Step 3, connect your patient monitor, does it read? Good, leave. Then, if you have an alternative maintenance program, maybe you want another PM procedure that's scaled down because you don't need all these steps. You have evidence that this monitor doesn't break, so you'll, instead of having to do 50 steps, you figured out that you only need 6 steps, right? So that's the second level PM. But then, when it does break, when it does fall off the top of the anesthesia machine and gets drop tested for the 13th time that day, and it breaks and it goes down to the shop for repair, you can't use your alternative maintenance program anymore, can you? You have to have another PM procedure, the OEM PM procedure. So consider when you're doing your automation, and I know some of this bleeds over to CMMS, but the two tie so closely together, I don't know where to put it. So that's why we're putting it here. When you're thinking about automation and how you're building your CMMS platform to interface with the automation, the ability to have multiple PM procedures per your device to fit your needs. Reduce training needs and ability to get techs on the floor quicker, right? We got to get the guy out there quicker. We got to get that on the floor. We just justified this FTE. We got to go. With automation, now that the automation is running the sequence and telling you the steps, you don't have to spend as much time training that person. You can get them out and get them going. They have the picture, they have the step, they're connecting it, they're pushing the button. Do they really need to know the theory of how the CPM is working on that device today? No, they can be working for you quicker. There's a caution on that, and we'll get to that here in a minute. New tech confidence boost. This is one that I didn't understand until I was a new tech in an OR with no support at 2 a.m. because that's when everything goes to rot, right? And you can't get your supervisor on the phone because he's sleeping. Good luck calling tech support. And your anesthesia machine is torn apart, and you're scared out of your mind, and your brand new analyzer, you don't remember how to set it up. What if all that's tied into your automation? Remember we talked your pictures, your PDFs, your steps? that level of confidence that you're giving to your biomass. They know that they can complete their job. They have the confidence in their job. Make them feel like they're part of the team. Collect additional useful data that time is prohibited. I think I said that before. Ability to use all this collected data and easily retrieve and compile your data. So we get all this data, and what are we going to do with it now? Where does it go? Does it go in a filing cabinet in the basement that the door's closed on and you're never going to pull it back up, i.e. any paper record? After you put that file closed, you know you're never going to open it back up unless you get sued. What if you can use that data and compile it in such a way that you can predict when the equipment is going to fail? Have the system state right up front what tools I'm going to need to complete the task. Did you ever drive 300 miles to an offline clinic and get there and realize you forgot your safety analyzer? Or you got the safety analyzer and Bubba borrowed your power cord or your IBP cable or your REM bypass cable, and all of a sudden you're standing 2 hours from the shop, or more realistically for the people in the hospitals, you're on the other side of the hospital and you're going, it's such a long way back to the shop. How much time that is? What if I opened up my work order and it told me here's all the equipment that I need to take with me today to make sure I have it on my cart? Possible to run simultaneous tests. Can we do it? What if we can be running one IV pump on one channel and another IV pump on another channel? Because it takes, what, 4 or 5 minutes per channel for the tests? Or if you're using like an Infuso-R, ooh, there's an old Infuso pump. An old Infuso-R that takes an hour and a half for the test. There's other things you can be doing for an hour and a half that you can automate that thing. Set it, let the automation take care of it while you focus on other tasks. Cautions. We just talked about some really cool, really powerful things. But automation and CMS platforms aren't all roses and champagne. I recommend starting with something easy. Don't launch off on your ventilators or your CT scanners or something crazy. The more steps, the more places you have for error, right? Mr. Murphy's going to be with you. Everybody remembers Mr. Murphy. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. The more steps that you give for him to get in there and mess up your world, he's going to do it. Start with something simple. Start with something everybody's going to do. Maybe electrical safety and build out from there. Start with a single analyzer. And you say, oh, just did that one. Take your time. Take your time. Good in is going to be good out. Bad in is going to be bad out. Make sure you check your work. Then you check his work. And then once you're done, have her check your work before you launch it out. Because once it's out there and all 26 of your technicians see it, yeah. Consistency counts. Anybody ever play this game? Anybody ever play the Hill Rom game? Come on. You played the Hill Rom game, haven't you? Is it Hill Rom, Hill Space Rom, or Hill Dash Rom? It's just as different as AMSCO Stairs, or AMSCO Stairs, whatever it is today. They're all different manufacturers in the eyes of your CMS platform and your automation. So if you put model number 1, 2, 3 under AMSCO, and your technician's out there and inventorying a new one to bring in his first PM, and he brings in model number 1, 2, 3, and yours says Stairs, and your CMS says AMSCO, is it the same devices in the eyes of that technician? Things to consider. Duplicates exist. You will find a duplicate serial number out there, and you will find a duplicate model number out there. Make sure that you can think of how to deal with it when it comes through. Expect issues. Expect for there to be issues when you first launch out. Expect for there to be resistance. Don't do this on IV pump month. Don't launch out when you have 1,800 devices due today. If it's the 15th of the month and you have to be done on the 30th of the month, it's not the day to launch the soft. Find a day that you can ease into this so that you bring your stress level of shot down and you can bring their excitement up and they'll want to work with you instead of fight against you. People hate change. Change is painful, right? We equate change. I used this analogy yesterday in a demonstration. It's like getting a new hip or a new joint, right? It hurts. Every time I take a step, it hurts. It hurts. But the surgery is going to hurt, right? But when you're done with the surgery and you get done with all the hard stuff, you go through the physical therapy, the surgery, you're going to feel better and you can move again. When you're bringing this into your technicians and into your staff and into your hospital, it's going to be the same way. Your initiation, your initial launch is going to hurt a little bit. And there's going to be physical therapy, i.e. training, needed so that you can walk better at the end. And a whole bunch of other things. One of the questions I ask that you ask yourself, though, is after you've launched and you have a few days of testing, is it easier now than it was 6 months ago? Did you make a positive impact by bringing your automation platform in? Have you fixed part of the error? Have you fixed part of your workflow? And use that as your launching point to go to the next step. Oh, wait, I want to hit one at the very bottom. Automation isn't a replacement for a technician. This will not get rid of the technician. Remember? We can get that new guy out there quicker, and we can get them functioning quicker. But will they know how to respond once they find something wrong? Right? So they find a broken pump, they find a broken monitor, broken defibrillator, one that has an issue. Do they know what to do at that point? Tag it, bring it back to the shop, then what? Do they have the ability to take it apart? This is a way to get them in and out of the shop quicker, but don't forget to continue to train that person. We still need technicians. We are not glorified battery changers. We are biomeds. We are professionals. We're medical professionals. And I want to see us continue to grow as medical professionals. Don't let this powerful tool turn us into drones. Conclusions. Is there a place for automation in your shop, in your hospital? Yes. I firmly believe there is. I came back from the days of integrating med testers, and as in the little ISO, so we inputted 30 different defibrillators tests, 30 different defibrillator tests into our med tester. It took a while. It did help. What data will it collect? Allow me to collect. What additional findings can I get? Can we use this data for root cause analysis? Maybe by collecting this additional data, we'll figure out that this might be a link charge to our generator, right? Do we record the wall outlet voltage right now? If you're in your ORs, are you actually recording the balance of the loads on your limb monitors, right? So you, instead of having 120 volts hot to ground, you have 65 and 65, but over time that can get unbalanced, especially when you get lint and stuff cranked into there. This now we have additional data. So when we did our electrical safety, it measured and recorded the wall outlet voltage for us. Or it recorded the wall outlet voltage for us when the generator kicked on. We can see if there's a quick drop. Maybe, maybe not. FTE justification. Now you will have hard set data. Hey, I need another biomed. Yeah. Why? Well, we have this many devices. This is our average time. It takes us this long to go and find the device. You're asking us to add on this additional wing. It's going to have this many more devices. So by simple math, I need one more FTE. Now you have the hard data to go back to administration with. Reduce of human factor errors. We're distracted. We're on the floor. The nurse hasn't seen us. The staff hasn't seen us. The doctor's mad because it just broke in the middle of his case. Are you paying attention to recording the true data? Let it reduce those errors. Let it capture that for you so that you can be the interaction with the staff. Will it help you cover if and how can it make your life easier? And at the very end of the day, will automation allow you to go drink a cup of coffee? That said, I'm going to pass this over to Miss Marcella, and she'll talk a little bit about our solution and how this can help you out.
Thanks, Justin. Okay, I think. I guess I have to use it.
Wahaha.
Thanks, guys. So I live in Chicago. My parents are teachers, so every time I talk, they always remind me, You have to remember what you want your audience to learn and what you want them to do after. So we just learned from Humbo, what's the vision of automation? How do I get to that end-to-end workflow? And hopefully one day do predictive. What did we learn from Justin? Cup of coffee can be achieved, and how to adopt automation. I really like everything he said about adoption, because my job at Fluke is to launch our new product called 1QA, and my job is to make our first 10 customers delighted. It's basically my job, and if I don't delight our first 10 customers, I failed my job. So what I want you guys to learn from my presentation is mostly, why are we different? Why are we different than Answer? Why are we different than our competitors? And do I want to talk to this girl after or not? When I see this photo, that's one of the reasons why I like my job. Every time I talk to customers that are using 1QA, their eyes sparkle when I say the word 1QA will be the death of paperwork. I was just in Oklahoma launching our first client, and they were really happy with our solution. So I want to show you how you can have no more paperwork. The first thing is our innovative user interface. How is our software now interplaying with our hardware? And there's a combination of 3 factors. I'm going to talk about procedure library, we're going to talk about automation, and we're going to talk about connected devices and how Fluke is reinventing 1QA, reinventing quality assurance now this month. The first thing is our procedures. Our new software helps you edit and create procedures in minutes because of the user interface. It also helps you send test results or reports to your work order so you can automatically close it. And then it also autofills the data from the connected device to your report. So your techs will never have to write a single test result again, 100% digital. So, and again, it syncs with your CMMS, just like your smartphone is syncing with the cloud. So that is great. Sometimes for your smartphone, sometimes I delete my photos, so I don't want it to go up in the cloud. But that's not the case with test results, right? We really do want everything to go up in the cloud. So again, we have this 3-pronged approach: procedure library services, automation through different steps, and connected devices. If we look at what we do, I want to highlight 3 6 things before we walk into and I show you a video of how it works. Basically, it works like magic. Sometimes it scares me. We also do labor time tracking. We also have sample procedures according to OEM specs already in the platform, so you can easily create or edit procedures. We also have a way for you to create any checklist regardless of the medical device. So, small secret, if you have like a Prompt device and you don't want a Fluke device, you can still have the checklist there. You just won't have the connected device piece that I just showed you. Also, traceability. Who did this PM, when, how, who changed that procedure? I want to know and I want to keep track. And again, the best part, autofill paperwork. You don't have to have a pen ever again. And again, the total end of it is 100% digital workflow. You can get that next month if you guys are interested. So let's talk about, I keep saying, innovative user interface. What does that mean, Marcella? Drag and drop to create a procedure, autofill paperwork, and step-by-step with photos. I think Justin mentioned that a couple of times. And in the end, what does that mean? Something wonderful for your biomeds. So let me show you how this works for electrical safety. Once you have, trying to press play, let's see if it works. So what you have here is a demonstration of us connecting the defibrillator to an electrical safety analyzer. And as soon as you press play, the autofill section will grab the data from your electrical device and in a few seconds completely do the electrical safety for you. And done. Basically what you have here, an electrical safety analyzer test with no paperwork. How many seconds did it take to pull the data from the device? Not too long. And the second thing I have here is for defibrillators. For the defibrillator testing, let's press play. Over here we have the output energy section. Once he's pressing, he's changing the load from 270 to 360. And you guys can see on the right video, he's pressing play and it's going straight to the software. And then as it checks the test, you have a check mark. It's my favorite part, the check mark, check marks and checklists. And the benefit here, again, is quickly getting the data from the device, autofilling that information inside OneQA, and eliminating a lot of the monotonous tasks of writing it down. This is another time, sometimes you have to do the same thing 15 times. In this thing, all you have to do is press play once, and then it will run it for you. Is that part of the video? Yeah, it's part of the video. And another thing that happens is the only thing you gotta do is, as you guys can see, there's a blue bar in the row. That is I'm activating that specific step. And once I activate that step, you press play, and the software runs the connected device. The software has all the controls. The procedures are inside the software, so perhaps you might have automated your Fluke equipment in the hardware. Now you don't have to. You only have to do it once in the software, and you can already have our samples that are already in your library. This is my favorite part. Sometimes people actually record this on their watch when you have to record charge time. Over here, the software is recording it for you. Once you charge the device and discharge it already, as you guys can see, the time stamp is already there, and all you have to do is press stop, and that specific step is over. So this is just another example of that. When I mentioned drag and drop to create a procedure, if you have a Zoll defibrillator, for example, it's like, I don't know, 37,000 steps, I don't even know. I hate that freaking procedure. I usually don't do it in demos. But what I do like is that, for example, if you want to do that procedure and edit it, you can easily drag and drop from our test library and edit that procedure in minutes. Another example of the drag and drop here is for the electrical safety. Everything's already set up for you, so you can quickly add it. The next part, which for me, I don't know if you guys know this, but 60% of Americans are visual learners. I'm one of them. And I've created all my procedures with photos. So if I have to do a demo, I'm a little nervous. I don't remember what I'm doing. I check the photo. I'm relieved. I know what to do. I can go to the next step. And how do we do that? In 2 clicks, you're able to take a photo on your phone and add it to the software because it's cloud-based. The last thing that I like that Justin pointed out quite often, let's say I have 3 types of procedures. Sometimes I'm going to do a long one. Sometimes I'm going to do a short one. Sometimes I want to have a third one. I don't know. You guys make the call. Over here, you can have an asset that's linked to multiple procedures. And all you have to do when you're doing the test is pick the one that you want, and the auto secret will start. So as you guys can see, there are 3 options. And on the top, on the right side, there's a play. So your tech will simply have to decide which one to press play once you've already configured that for him or her. And the last part that I mentioned, and you guys saw in the video, is the autofill of paperwork. What does that look like at the end? At the end, you have multiple types of reports that you can pick to determine how you're going to close your work order. There's a very concise test that's probably 5 pages. And then there's the complete full report with everything. And it's 100% customizable. If you say, Marcella, I like it as a starting point, but I want to change that a little bit. We can have a call and I'll show you how to change that on the platform for you. So you yourself can edit that. And the last thing that I want to say is if you want to learn more, you can just schedule a call with me using that link. My name is Marcella, and thank you so much for staying here and listening to Justin, Humbo, and me. I hope you learned something, and I hope it was helpful. All right, thank you. Yeah.
at this time, we're gonna open up for a few minutes of